What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, the new narratives have been created that have been featured as roadblocks that's preventing the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, the undefeated, undisputed showdown in the welterweight division for all the marbles, between undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Bud Crawford. 38 wins, no loss, no draw. 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8", with a 74-inch arm reach. And his counterpart, biggest rival, the other 50% of this fight, an undefeated unified 3-belt WBC, WBA, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not #1, definitely top 5 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in Errl the Truth Spence Jr., who is 28 wins, no loss, no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'9.5", with a 72-inch arm reach. They make for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. It was rumored and being reported that we could see Errol Spence and Terence Crawford face off for undisputed in the welterweight division, creating history. The first 4 major sanctioned belt welterweight world champion in the history of the sport of boxing. Okay, November 19th. Now, there was many dates that have been floated around for this fight to take place, right? And there's many dates that, you know, have fell through, obviously, okay? And most recently, right, we've heard that, you know, the fight is all but done, not going to take place in 2022, that is going to take place possibly in 2023, January, February. So there's many different dates. But as of recently, because we heard that there's some major roadblocks and there's some hurdles that's preventing the fight from happening, okay? We've heard Max Kellerman, colorful boxing analyst and pundit on ESPN, state that Terence Crawford, one of the big holdups is that Terence Crawford is asking for, you know, an opportunity to see inside the books of PBC, Premier Boxing Champion, founder and advisor Al Haymon, because they advise, obviously, Errol Spence Jr., Al Haymon does, and this fight will take place with the PBC and TGB, Tom Brown Promotions, and Terence Crawford wants to see the books. It was being reported that Terence Crawford was going to take 65-35 split in favor of Errol Spence. Terence Crawford is going to take no back-end money, right? And Terence Crawford, you know, is willing to, you know, take no guaranteed money and just simply bet on himself, right? And he's just impatient of making a fight, so he's willing to take whatever is offered to him, right? But Terence Crawford, obviously, he's no fool, okay? And Terence Crawford understands that, you know, okay, if he's going to take such a deal, okay, he wants to see, rightfully so, what's being earned, right? Because if he's taking a deal like this, that means he's banking on himself and he's banking on the numbers. Okay, so Terence Crawford wants to make sure that he's getting his fair shake of the money, right? His just dues of the money. He wants to make sure that, okay, if I'm going to take a 65-35 split in favor of Errol Spence, I'm going to take a deal that's going to bank on, you know, the sales and how well the fight does is what I'm getting paid on commission, right? I'm getting paid based off of how well the fight does. So when it's all said and done, I want to see just how well the fight did, to see just if I'm getting my fair shake and share of the pie, rightfully so. But now the fans are mad at Terence Crawford, and Max Kellerman irresponsibly blames Errol Spence and says Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford. Now, again, like I said, Terence Crawford is well in his right to want to see the books if he's working off a commission, if he's working off of, his money is going to be based upon how much and how well the fight does. That's how he's going to get paid. Then he wants to see the books. He wants to make sure everything is on the up and up. We blame Terence Crawford for staying with legendary promoter, top ranked CEO Bob Arum, ESPN, and Top Rank, and getting paid less than what the fans and the boxing pundits and the media thought was less than his worth because of his status in the sport. And now he parts ways. He doesn't have a promoter, he's a man with no land, doesn't have a network, doesn't have a promoter. And so now he's trying to do his homework. There's no right or wrong time to when to do his homework. So now he wants to do his homework because this is the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. And now the fans are mad at Terence Crawford and saying, well, he shouldn't be holding up the fight wanting to see the books of Al Haymon. Now and the PBC and Showtime president of sports, Stephen Espinosa. Now, let's just focus on that, right? If this holds to be true and that is a holding point, a sticking point that's preventing the fight, Terence Crawford is holding up the fight, okay? If that is the truth, then how easy is it for them to satisfy Terence Crawford and say, listen, when it's all said and done, we'll show you what we made and we'll show you what you're making. Now, they don't do that for anybody, right? And there's a reason they don't do that for anybody. Why not? If everything is on the up and up and everything is fair game and everybody's doing business, square business, then why can't they just say, well, this is what we're doing, this is what you're going to make, this is what we made? But nobody actually ever does that. So these fighters, right? Now, what's important here to note is that when the fighters are trying to, it's funny, right? Because when you have Floyd Mayweather say that, they were getting into business and doing the business the way that they were doing business, right? Because they want to put the fighters first. It's important that the fighters get everything that they deserve, and the fighters get all the money, and not the managers, the promoters, and the networks making all the money when the fighters is the ones that's physically risking their everything, their health and everything that included risking it all, putting it all on the line. And so the fighters should be getting, the lion's share of the money. They should be keeping the lion's share of the money, the bigger percentage, and they should know what they're making. So what would be the problem with Terence Crawford wanting to see the books then? If that's the model that the PBC was built off of, then what would be wrong with Terence Crawford seeing the books? Now, I'm not saying this is true or not true. I'm just saying if that is the case, then why can't they satisfy Terence Crawford in the biggest fight in boxing and say, okay, yeah, we have no problem showing you what you're going to make, what you're going to get, and what we're going to get? What would be the problem in that? It shouldn't be. And then on the flip side, where you have Max Kellerman claiming that Errol Spence is afraid and Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford. Errol Spence has nothing, let me just go ahead and debunk that notion. Errol Spence has nothing to do with Terence Crawford business with the PBC. He only has to do with his business with the PBC, not with Terence Crawford's business with the PBC. That's none of his business. All he is a piece on the chessboard as well, looking to make a fight and looking to make sure he gets everything he deserves in the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. That's all Errol Spence is there to do. Errol Spence is not there to be in business to say, well, Terence Crawford should be allowed to see the books or not allowed to see the books. That's not his job. That's not on Errol Spence. That's not up to Errol Spence. So Errol Spence is not in a position where Errol Spence is supposed to say, yeah, Al, let Terence Crawford see the books. Open up the books so Terence Crawford can see the books. Why is that up to Errol Spence? That's not up to Errol Spence, okay? Errol Spence is not in a position where he can say, all right, yeah, give Terence Crawford, $20 million. So let's make this fight happen. No, Errol Spence can only make suggestions based off of what Errol Spence has, available to him, information he has to him. How do we know Errol Spence is not inquiring about opening up the books for himself? We quick to say that Errol Spence don't want to make the fight. He's ducking Terence Crawford. How is he ducking Terence Crawford? The business, okay, if Errol Spence was to go to PBC, if Errol Spence was to go to Top Rank and ESPN, right? Right? If Errol Spence was to go to Top Rank and look to make the fight happen with Terence Crawford, right? On Top Rank, okay? With Top Rank, right? Now think about this. If Errol Spence asks Bob Arum and ESPN and Top Rank to see their books, how is that on Terence Crawford? And if Bob Arum and ESPN says, listen, we not opening up the books to you, Errol Spence, or we don't do that type of business, or whatever may have you, their response, then how is Terence Crawford ducking Errol Spence? Terence Crawford would have nothing to do with Errol Spence's business in dealing with the business part of Top Rank and his contract. Now they have to agree. Now Terence Crawford and Errol Spence said, okay, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z percentage. I'm getting 65%. You're getting 35%. How, when, and where he gets that percentage is none of either one of their business. It's not Errol Spence's business. It is not Terence Crawford's business how, when, and where they receive their money. I agree to you getting a higher percentage. This is what gets dismissed. There's three parties involved here. It's Errol Spence's side, it's Terence Crawford's side, and then it's the business side that's in the middle. Errol Spence is dealing with the business side in the middle, just like Terence Crawford is dealing with the business side that's in the middle. Or Errol Spence can say, okay, what about a rematch clause? Yay or nay? Yes or no? Yeah, I'll take a rematch clause. How, the time frame, okay, the ring walk, who walks first? These are the agreements, and this is the negotiation between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence as fighters. Are you going to walk first, or am I going to walk first? Right? Who's getting a higher percentage? You getting a higher percentage, or am I getting a higher percentage? Right? Will we have, if we're going to get back in money on the revenue, the gate sales, who's getting a higher percentage of the gate sales? Are you getting a percentage, or am I getting a flat percentage? Right? What ring size are we going to agree to? Are we going to agree to an 18-foot ring, a 22-foot ring, a 20-foot ring? Right? That's Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. What gloves? Are you going to be allowed to wear Grant? I'm going to wear Everlast. You wear whatever gloves you want. What weight gloves are we fighting at? We fighting at 47, so we got to use 8-ounce gloves, right? Those are the things that Terence Crawford and Errol Spence are negotiating. As far as seeing the books and the other business part of the ventures of it, that has nothing to do with Errol Spence. So it's irresponsible on the part of Max Kellerman to sit and tell the world that Errol Spence is avoiding and ducking Terence Crawford, when he knows very well that Errol Spence, if at the same time he's saying that Terence Crawford wants to see proof of funds and wants to know what exactly what percentage of what number he's getting, that has nothing to do with Errol Spence. So two things can hold to be true. That has nothing to do with Errol Spence, and Errol Spence and Terence Crawford is well in his right to want to see the books, to see the exact numbers they making, to make sure he's not getting the short end of the stick. He's getting 35% of a pie of 100%. Okay, and Errol Spence is getting 65%. Right? Now think about this. If that is the case, right? Okay, Terence Crawford wants to know, if you guys made 100 million, I'm supposed to get 35% of 100 million. If we made 70 million, I'm supposed to get 35% of 70 million. If we made $10, I'm supposed to get 35% of the $10. If he wants to see those exact numbers so he don't feel like he's getting the short end of the stick, he's well in his right as a businessman, because it's only two people risking their life in that ring, and that's Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. So he's well in his right to want to receive that. And if the motto holds to be true, like Floyd Mayweather said, this is about the fighters and we care about the fighters first over here. Well, then that should be directed towards Terence Crawford in this situation. And Errol Spence, if Errol Spence says, I don't care about none of that, I just want to, fight, I'm okay with this percentage in my favor, cool. I'm okay with the ring walk, I'm going to walk first, cool. The ring size, the gloves, what color we wearing, I'm cool with all that. Hey, but you dealing with this part, that ain't got nothing to do with me. So that the narratives that are being created that Terence Crawford is now holding up the fight and he's scared because he want to see the books is completely irresponsible and incorrect. And the narrative that Errol Spence is afraid and ducking Terence Crawford, because what is Errol supposed to do? There's only one thing Errol Spence can do. He can go to Haymon, he could go to the PBC, he could go to Showtime, and he could say, and Stephen Espinosa, and say, listen, the only fight I want to be made is Terence Crawford. That's the only thing he could do. He can't make them open the books. He can't make them pay him what he wants. He can't do any of those things. All he could do is agree to the fight and the terms as far as the fight itself happens, and then deal with his business on his side. That is it. So it's the business that's standing in the way of Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, period. So let's do away with all of the notion that Errol Spence is afraid of Terence Crawford and ducking him, and Terence Crawford is afraid and ducking Errol Spence and pricing himself out. No. And that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. You already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.